dive. Today, we're plunging into something, well, it's a bit of a paradox, isn't it? We live in this so-called information age. Everything's faster, supposedly smarter, definitely more connected than ever. And yet, despite all that, relentless progress and instant access, so many people seem to be feeling this deep sense of emptiness, or maybe feeling blocked, or just constantly exhausted, like chronic exhaustion. You might even find yourself, constantly looking for the next new solution, trying everything, maybe coaching, maybe biohacking, which for anyone who doesn't know, that's often about trying to optimize yourself using tech or biology. But the real question is, why do these modern tools, these fixes, often give us only sort of short-term relief? So our mission for this deep dive, really, it's about exploring why maybe these contemporary approaches aren't quite hitting the mark long-term. And looking back, maybe uncovering some ancient wisdom, a different path perhaps, a more profound one for transformation. Our journey today, it's lit up by this really compelling source. It's titled Ancient Rituals for Modern Transformation, Shadow and Strength. And this material, it really challenges the usual ideas about self-improvement. The core idea basically is that real transformation, it doesn't just happen up here in the mind. It goes way deeper. It happens in the body, in your breath, and really through lived experience. So yeah, let's get into that. When you look around, it seems almost contradictory, right? We're seeing this huge coaching boom, more personal development stuff than ever before, and yet at the same time, we're dealing with just incredibly high burnout rates. Keep searching, new techniques, new mindsets. But if these things are so great, why do they often only help for a little while? Why aren't they sticking? It feels a bit like trying to fill a bucket that's got a hole in it.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, as this material points out, is that maybe the answer isn't about constantly inventing new solutions. Maybe it's about revisiting something we've forgotten, wisdom from the past. It sort of hints at something our ancestors just knew,
Yeah.
intrinsically. A deep understanding that maybe we've lost touch with in this modern, very head-focused world.
And that really opens up the story, doesn't it? Because if you look back, like across human history, you find that pretty much every culture, whether you're talking Mayas, ancient Egypt, or tribes in the Himalayas, or Africa, rituals were just fundamental, absolutely central. This wasn't some weird fringe thing. It was, well, universal, deeply woven into how people lived.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And we're not talking vague gestures here. These were often very specific practices. Things like movement rituals, quite elaborate breath ceremonies, purification, using fire or sound, even entering trance states. And crucially, these cultures didn't see this as just superstition.
Yeah.
Not at all. They saw them as profound ways to, well, feel the invisible, to release emotions that were stuck, stagnant energy, and, importantly, to consciously direct their own life force, their own energy.
Right, and different people in society use them differently, too, like shamans, you mentioned, working with rhythms, trance, getting deeper wisdom. Monks, famously, training their minds, their bodies through breath and mantra, finding that calm, that insight, and even warriors using rituals to take fear and, like, transform it into focus, into courage. It was just part of the fabric of life.
Which makes you wonder, why? Why dedicate so much effort to these things? And this is where it gets really interesting, especially for us today. Because modern neuroscience, it's actually starting to confirm how effective many of these ancient practices are. It's not just stories. There's real science behind it now.
Okay.
For example, we now understand how certain breathing patterns directly talk to our vagus nerve. They shift our nervous system literally from that stressed out fight or flight state.
Right, the sympathetic system.
Exactly, into the rest to digest state, the parasympathetic. And movement, too, it's not just exercise. Somatic work, body-based practices, they're now recognized for helping release trauma that's physically stored in the body, stuff that thinking alone can't reach. And rituals themselves, just the structure they provide, that gives the brain a sense of safety, predictability. And that feeling of safety actually opens the brain up, makes it more receptive to real deep change, fundamental change.
Wow. So it really does sound like modern science is kind of catching up to what ancient cultures knew all along. That's quite something, isn't it? Because the way we often approach things today feels so different, so starkly contrasted. We think, I just need to know enough, or I just need to think positively. It's all very intellectual.
Yes, exactly. But the source material asks a really crucial question. How can you genuinely change something if you don't actually feel it? It argues that without developing that deeper body awareness, without connecting to rhythm, natural rhythms, and without truly engaging with our emotions, letting ourselves feel them, well, then any mindset shift, any real transformation, all that theoretical understanding, it just stays incomplete. It stays on the surface.
Right.
You can know all the theories, you can talk about your issues endlessly, but if you don't feel it in your body, It doesn't integrate. It doesn't land. That's the missing piece, that somatic intelligence ancient cultures seem to master.
Okay, so rituals then. They're like the bridge, is that the
Yeah,
idea? Helping us to feel, again, build presence, integrate the shadow parts. That term shadow aspects, that's about the parts of ourselves we don't always acknowledge, right? The suppressed stuff.
precisely. Rituals help us bring those into awareness, not judgmentally, but just to feel them.
Hmm.
And in doing that, in feeling and integrating, that's how we unlock our real inner strength. This whole shadow and strength concept is really about that, embracing the uncomfortable, the vulnerable, because that's where the power lies, not in pushing it away.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense. And it's not just theory, you're saying. The material actually gives practical things people can do.
Yes, absolutely. It's very
Yeah.
practical.
Great. So let's get into that. What can people listening try, like, right now?
All right, so the first one is called the morning ritual activating body and energy. The action here is about consciously taking charge of your morning. So instead of, hitting snooze, rolling over, grabbing your phone, which immediately pulls your focus out, you turn inwards first. You're like, rub your hands together, feel the friction, the warmth, take a few really deep, intentional breaths, and then actually move your body. Maybe put on some music and just move.
Yeah, and the key insight there, the really powerful part, it's about deliberately focusing on feeling your body, feeling your energy before anything else, before the emails, before the news, before the scrolling.
Mhm.
You're basically setting a completely different tone for your nervous system for the whole day, moving from automatic reactivity to grounded presence. You're saying, okay, I'm starting here from my center. It's like building a little inner sanctuary before you even step out the door. I like that. Okay, what's the next one? The breath ritual. Regulating the nervous system. This sounds simple. Find a quiet moment, sit still, and practice a specific breathing pattern. It says 4 seconds inhaling through the nose, then 6 seconds exhaling slowly.
That's it. And that 4 into 6 out ratio is incredibly effective.
Okay.
It directly stimulates the vagus nerve, like we mentioned, and actively shifts you out of that sympathetic stress response
Into the calm state.
into the calm parasympathetic state. Yeah.
Yeah.
The focus here is just feel the moment, feel the
Yeah.
air coming in, going out, feel your body settle. And the commitment is tiny, really. Just
So-
5 minutes. That's it.
Just 5 minutes.
But you'll likely notice, maybe not dramatically at first, but subtly, how much it can change the feeling of your whole day. Less stress, more clarity. It's quite profound for such a short practice.
Okay, 5 minutes seems doable. And the third one, the shadow ritual transforming emotions. This sounds intriguing. So when you get triggered, that knot in your stomach or sudden anger or sadness, the idea is to shift away from thinking about why and move into just feeling the raw sensation in your body. And then put a hand on your heart and actually say out loud, I hold space for what I feel.
Exactly. And the key here is it's not about analyzing the feeling or judging it or trying to fix it or push it away. It's about radical acceptance,
Yeah.
just allowing it to be there.
And why say it out loud and the hand on the heart?
Well, the thinking is that the verbalization giving voice to the intention combined with the physical touch, it creates a kind of container, a safe space within you for that intense emotional energy. The goal is just to let the energy flow, let it move through you rather than getting stuck or suppressed. Because that stagnation, that holding on, is often what creates those feelings of being blocked or empty we talked about.
Yeah.
By allowing the flow, you're actually processing it. You're integrating those shadow parts. And that, paradoxically, is where you find more strength, more resilience.
So wrapping this up then, the core message from this deep dive, from this source material, it seems to be that real lasting transformation. It doesn't start out there. And it's not just about thinking differently or saying affirmations, helpful as those can sometimes be. It really starts deep inside.
Yeah.
With your breath, with being present in your body, and having the courage to actually feel what's there.
Absolutely. And that's the bigger picture, isn't it? These ancient rituals. They're not just, esoteric games or something fluffy. They are embodied wisdom, practical, powerful tools. They're like keys, really, to unlocking potential that's already inside you. It's just been waiting, maybe patiently, for you to remember how to access it.
So a final thought maybe for everyone listening. What if you were willing to remember that innate wisdom that's already in your body? Think about the kind of power that might be waiting for you there. Consider how rediscovering these timeless practices, moving beyond just thinking and into really feeling, breathing, being present, how that could genuinely transform your life, that whole shadow and strength idea. It's not something you have to go find somewhere else. It's a path that can start right now, right inside you, offering, well, maybe a deep wellspring of resilience and authenticity.